I was eating. I think I've got everything. Sorry about the motion. All right. Hands. Hopefully you can hear me. I'll try to speak up. But yeah, I'm a little behind here. So got 2 people watching, me and someone else. How about that? I'm here eating pizza, watching you. Oh, good. I love pizza. We actually had it yesterday when we were doing the chassis dyno stuff. The day did not go well. Not at all. So I thought I had the worst luck ever. It turns out my friend Trent Dugan has got to have the worst luck of any person I've ever met in my life. Well, I mean, besides, he isn't on his 3rd marriage, so maybe not on that, but cars, his luck sucks. But I'm pulling up stuff right now so I can see what you guys are even saying. Like this SOB. Hey Mike Cole, hopefully you get your heads. Like I said, I shipped those out on Friday. I did like 5 of those heads, and like yours at one spot's worse than the others, but then the other spot's way better. I don't know what happened with that. It's not enough to make a difference, but I do so many of them. I kind of wonder why yours was not as good at 500, but so much better at some of the other lift points, especially 7. Just something weird I'm thinking about. Hey Eric, God bless. Yes, he has. Oh, good. Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. Yeah, in the shop again we go. Don't be a Debbie Downer, LOL. Tracking says they'll be delivered tomorrow. Good deal. That's what I like to hear. Glenn Williams, if you're watching this right now, I finished your heads today. So your head cam came in. So I got your heads, rockers, and cam. That's all here. I'll probably send you a invoice tonight, but got those done. Check mark 1 off the list. So good news there. Any light at the end of the tunnel, Eric? Absolutely not. You know what? I'll be honest with you. Last 2 days, I hardly did any customer stuff. I worked on Glenn's stuff today, and I started doing that head for Austin, which really doesn't make any money for adventures with Austin. But the reason why I needed to get that done is because that guy's been waiting on, the CNC guy's been waiting for me to send the model. So that's got to get out. A couple bit of news, too. So I contacted Gary, and he said, yeah, we could try putting the EFI on this dyno if you want to, as long as it doesn't mess with his carburetor, fuel lines, and all that setup, because obviously he does more carburetor stuff. And he also said, your engine's ready to dyno. So we have the 406 dyno mule will be back on Thursday. First dyno session with that, testing my 255X Dragon Slayer heads at 4060. The difference between the engine before and after, one's compression. I think we're now like 13.5 to 1, and before we were 11.5 to 1. The camshaft's a solid roller, but we went from a 50 millimeter cam core down to the standard cam core size. It's now like 730 lift compared to before with 685, and I think the duration is 268 on intake, and it used to be 260. And exhaust duration, I think, nope. Quote me on this, I have to look at my cam card. But I think the exhaust duration is now like 280 maybe. So it's significantly more than we had before, which was 270. And I think it's on a 109, maybe 110. I don't have the card from me. Bobby did it for me, so I was really proud of that. So Cam motion did that one. And the intake we're going to start with will be a ported 2970. I need to get a hold of Victor Brown. If you happen to be watching this, if you could send that 2892 back, I tested it this week. If not, I am bringing that Ironhide 4150 manifold to Dyno with that, because at least then I'd have a 4150 manifold to Dyno test with. So, and that is an Australian. Only thing that's done on that sport match. I thought if I had time today, which I didn't, I would switch the heads on the 383, so I'd have that ready to go. In case we finished the 406, I could get to that, but that didn't happen. What did happen was yesterday we were on the chassis down trying to work with Trent's turbo small block Chevy, and like, there's just a lot of problems. In the end, this transmission was bad anyway when shifted into high. So bad luck there. Today, all I had to do was put fluid in Bishop's Nova, transmission fluid, so I did that. And then I took it for a drive. What annoys me about the car is the oil leak, and also the satellite, the GPS speedometer doesn't work. But the transmission shows fine. Everything seemed like it works right. Definitely needs some tuning, because I put it on the trans brake about 3,100 RPM, like I floored it, and I was bringing up slowly to 3,100 RPM. That's where it wouldn't go any further, at least this stall converter. But it died. Like I was revving it up, got there, I was holding it, and I went to go all the way in, and it just died. I mean, it started right back up. So something in the fueling system or something's not allowing it to do that. I should have started a data log so I could have seen what the air fuel ratio was. My thought was it either had too much fuel or not enough fuel, or I forgot to turn on the fuel pump. No, could have been that. I don't know. It's weird. I then drove for like 4 more miles after that. I don't think there's anything wrong with the engine. I just think some tuning issue is the reason why it died. But anyway, there's what's going on with that. All right, ask your questions. Let me see if I can answer them. This don't charge you anything for a live feed, so you don't have to worry about paying a fee. I haven't checked my emails today. I know I've got several, but I haven't had a chance to look through them. Let's see. Eric, your mic is funny sounding. How bad does it sound? Because I don't have a mic on, so it's coming from the phone itself. So if you're not hearing me, let me know. Oh, 36 of you watching. Man, this sucks. I don't know why I did this. Okay. Someone please comment. Sounds like you're in a bathroom. Oh, great. Let me move this closer. Give me just a second here. Adjust some properties. I swear to God. I swear to God. Mother of... Hear me cuss on a live feed. This will be amazing. Yep, that didn't work. Sorry about that. I'm just one little power plug decides it just doesn't want to stay in. We'll just do something different here. Give me just a second. I didn't leave you. I don't know if I'll sound any better being closer to the camera, but we'll see. Let's see what I look like now. Okay, hopefully you sound better. If not, I don't know. It could be my watch on too. Any better on the sound? Yes, all right, great, works. Hello from Australia. Any news on your iron small block Chevy double hump project? We tested the 292s. All I got to do is put the trick flow heads on next. Like I said, I was going to try doing that today, but it just didn't happen. Sometimes I'm slow. Hey Eric, when do you plan on porting the Hemi heads and building those engines? I got to run to the city, which is where Gerald Brand is for Brand Racing, and drop off that Hemi that's over here, so he could try getting it ready for Dyno. I need to set that up, so maybe the week after next. I got to go to the city anyway because my sister has a mower I need to borrow or use, because she now has a lawn company take care of hers, and I was going to borrow her mower just so I can. Mine decided it doesn't want to work anymore. So I don't know when I'll get a chance of reporting that. I got the stuff to flow it, but I don't have any spare heads. Speaking of which, the Charger decides to be a dick this week too. I forgot to tell you that. So I changed the O2 sensors in it yesterday because it wasn't reading the one bank. So I changed it, on both of them, by the way. I changed both of them. It still doesn't read it, so I don't know what that's about. Today I went to start up to move it out of the way to back the Nova out, and it kept turning over and over and over and over, and it didn't start. And then I turned it off, and then just started it, then pressed the start button again, and it fired right off. It's like if you let it sit overnight or something, it acts like a dick. Anyway, Optimum Performance, anyone reach out you about a dyno facility? Much better sound. No, no one's talked to me or reached out yet. So everybody's just busy. Although someone did reach out, much cheaper. So, but that's about it. All right, glad to hear the sound's good. There are 41 of you, awesome. I wish I knew how this thing worked. And of course that computer died. Okay. Ask your questions away though. If not, you're gonna hear me rant. Have you viewed the V-bore small block aluminum heads, and would you want to? Not really. I haven't, and I don't really deal with those because usually those are junk. So like the V-bores is just Chinese crap. It's much like the DNA heads. I heard this one thing, this long thing about the reason why they had like 3-letter names for stuff you buy on Amazon. It's because they have to because of some importing thing. But those are the same probably as V-bores, same with the small block Fords. So they're probably just meh. I don't really want to do a product review video. Probably would get lots of views. But I don't like promoting a product I don't mind promoting a Chinese product. But one that has zero presence in the US is kind of pointless. Eric Weiner, do you work on super stock heads behind the scenes? Didn't you build a set for the S10? How do you like them? I don't do super stock heads. If I did, I probably wouldn't say even if I did. But no, I don't. And I'll be honest, I didn't. On the S10 that I have, it's got the Headhunter heads, which is a Raise Runner 23-degree head. They're nice. I like them a lot. I really wish I thought about it, but I just don't want it because that's like the only car that doesn't leak freaking oil. The Charger doesn't now, but the Nova does. Spent all week trying to fix that. Still leaks oil. It's not a lot. It's like a drip every 2 hours. Still annoying. But anyway, I don't really want to take off those heads because it doesn't leak. But I thought about putting a set of my Dragon Slayer 255X because they take the same shaft rockers. Because if I did that, then I could run the Holley High-Port, or not High-Port, Holley High-Ram fuel injected setup, and I could actually, the truck would be faster. But I haven't even dicked with the truck. It needs to be aligned. Bishop got in a wreck with it. Since I'm doing a live feed, I don't mind saying it. He wrecked it. He broke a rim. Kind of dented the pan, but not where the pickup is, and not bad. It scared him more than anything else, and he's okay. This has been months ago, but got a new rim, got a new tire, but it needs an alignment. So everything else seems like it's fine. But I haven't touched it since that, getting the new tire put on. And I took it for a drive after just so he wouldn't worry so much that he tore it up bad because he was feeling really heartbroken, but it's fine. What's your next dyno video? Sorry for showing up late for the live chat. Well, I showed up late, Joe. The next one's probably going to be the 406 small block Chevy because that's on Thursday. That should be good. E85 or E5 performance. Where do you draw the line on running a dual plane versus single plane? Small block Chevy, RPM air gap, Victor Jr. It's simple. If you want to go faster with the drag strip, you get a single plane. If you want to go faster on the street, you get a dual plane. And what I mean by faster, it just feels like you're faster. You're truly not faster. That's the difference. So if you're racing it on the drag strip, do a single plane. Which of your Dragon Slayer heads would you give for a 421 small block Chevy, more power over the AFR 220 heads on it? There's a kind of a catch to that. I think every one of my Dragon Slayers would outperform that, but Bob's was probably the best example of doing testing on those. So we had the Dragon Slayers that required the shaft rockers on Bob's, and I'd also use this 232 CNC program, which I got to do something different because where I was getting those from, I'll never do because he's too slow. and he just lies about times. But then I've got the 235 Pro Max, but we tested all those and my 227 Dart head, which is a pretty good one. Oddly enough, when that situation, that was a 421 because it was only like 10 to 1 because he had a dish piston and a hydraulic roller. The Dart imitation heads, which don't flow near as good, made 3 more horsepower than my Dragon Slayers. But in fairness, because I forgot about this after it was over, the Dart imitations had a 64cc chamber and the Dragon Slayers had a 67. So it was about 0.3 compression ratio difference. So had they been the same, the Dragon Slayers probably would have been better. But there's no doubt that those Dart imitations are about $1,000 cheaper. So would they beat your AFR 220s? Probably, unless you have a dual plane. So you put a dual plane on it, then you're just splitting hairs. And I hate to say it, it's just what it is. And by the way, I guess I could be lying out my ass like others that do and tell you, no, man, my heads are superior. But as more and more dyno testing comes in, I don't care whose heads it is. If you start doing like dual planes of restrictive flow, you're really going to be splitting hairs 5 or 6. Or if you're really don't have much lift, hydraulic roller, low compression, your gains are getting less and less. And those people that tell you otherwise, they're just trying to sell you stuff. And I hate to be that way. But yeah, I would probably, I mean, if you're wanting some different heads, the Dragon Series would be great for you if you're like, no, I'm 14.5 to 1 or 13.5 to 1 or even 11.5 to 1, as long as you got at least that. But if you're more street driven and you go on the track, your 220s probably aren't that far off from the Dragon Slayers enough to justify the cost. You could get the Dart 227 imitations that I have. Those will beat the AFR 220s, I'm fairly certain as well. Do you plan on getting into the Hemi platform porting? Probably not. Because the thing is, again, time. As you know from the update, there's not enough time in the day. So then you're like, well, you just do your own CNC program for one, which sounds great. Honestly, it does. But it's $1,800 to buy the plate that bolts onto the CNC machine that I'd have to come up with. Then I have to sell enough of the heads to justify that cost. And how many other people are out there low cutting each one? So like they're only making like $400 on their porting service. Some even cheaper than that. So I'm not gonna. If I'm gonna be broke, I'm gonna be broke sitting on my rear. I don't want to be working my tail off and be broke. So that's probably why it won't happen. If I did way more hand porting like I used to, I probably would. That's why I bought the flow plate. Has anyone sent you a set of power products heads from competition products to check out? No, because I think they're just like the DNA heads or my Dart imitation heads. I think they're identical. So, like I said, that Dart imitation head I sell, there's so many different names for that head, and it's the same head. Mike Cole, hey, I remember you said in another video that resurfacing heads can flow. What's the relationship there? Is there a CFM change for every 5,000s or 10,000s? It kind of depends, and I think that's actually why your heads might have flowed not as much as some of the others. This was a weird one because Mike, you had your order had the chambers at 70 cc's, and I think I actually got them to 69. I didn't CC them, but I think I ended up taking them to 69 just because it gets some of when the CNC machine does the chamber, and I'm not going to make it change it because it's perfect, but it leaves a little bevel there, so it rounds the corner all the way around the chamber. People love seeing that, by the way. Me personally, I'd almost want a sharp edge. I just hit it knock it off with one of those deburring tools. But some people really want to see it rolled over. Well, I think that might have actually been what hurt the flow, which is weird. It doesn't cause hot spots. But so to answer your question, it really depends on how close how much of the top cut is being removed on the back side. That's probably the better one. 5 or 10,000ths is probably not as much to make a difference. Brandon at Slaker in Oklahoma City said he might be able to accommodate you on the cam challenge. I've never even heard of them, which that's got to be weird. But I don't know. It's not. It'd be. I've thought if I do the whole fuel setup with Dunsworth, I still need Scott Clark to come in. He's that EFI tuning guy because that Holly setup, I literally bought everything for it. So yeah, I had to make it way more complicated than when it needed to be. So for instance, what did I get? I'm fairly certain, don't quote me on this, but I think I did. I think I bought the cool and plug kit. I know I bought the EGT kit. All those have to be wired into the Dominator. I don't have the wiring harness, that for sure. I was just going to use Kunz's. But I don't remember, I don't think I did, but I might have. I might have got the 802s as well, which would be another huge disaster of wiring. But anyway, I was going to have Scott come in. Actually, the plan was if I did it at Dunsworth, what I'd do is I'd take off the high ram, dyno it in it, because after my experience yesterday with fuel injection, luckily we had broke in that engine at Dunsworth, but fuel injection, all you nut swinger huggers for EFI you must have always had a great experience, because every time it's like these little bugs that just kill you. So I don't foresee us having problems with it, but I'm probably going to break it in with a carburetor on it, then switch to the EFI setup. And then, but Scott Clark, I'm going to need him there just to set that up. Like I could fairly decent at tuning the S10, but to get the initial base going, I think that might be a bit tricky. So anyway, that was the plan, but I mean, I say that's a plan. That's the only thing I've come up with so far. I hope that Superflow gets off the rear, finds, for some odd reason, be smart, get out to Kunz, fix the dyno. It's your dyno, it's your product. I do not understand a company not trying to make their stuff work. It's just hurting your sales. You know how many people buying your dynos now because you don't do it? What is wrong with you? Do you want to see a company not exist? I do not understand you. You have another product you're not selling? Are you selling financial products or something like that? Maybe that's how you're making your money, but if your product doesn't sell, eventually you're going to go out of business. Especially when you don't have a give up support. This is dumb. Whenever you test the 383 with the trip flow 215s, I'm assuming they'll make over 500. Do you think torque will creep near or will stay in the same range as the turbo 292s? Actually, the 292s did not make the best torques. The 461 made more torque. So, I don't know. We'll see. But I don't think that, because the first one I'm going to test on it, the heads I was going to put on there first is that, because TrickFlow had sent this, and I don't know if I even mentioned it, they sent the 200cc double hump, the CNC Porter ones. So that's what's going on next, not the 215s. Then the 215s will go on. Can you get 600 street horsepower from a 454 with brother strikes on 93 octane? Yes. Yes, you can. We've done that before. What kind of CFM loss do you see through a single plane intake on a ported LS3 head? I don't flow them that way. I could do a whole long rant about people who port intake manifolds, and the only reason why I say that is because there are so many people, you might as well just call it what it is. They're simply auto detailers of intake manifold ported. They're just making it look better. That's all they're doing. Polishing. Or burring, and it looks beautiful. Oh my gosh, you made no power. It didn't make a difference. Whatever. You actually have to remove material. But anyway, I don't flow, because I test, dumb me. I don't flow intakes attached to heads anymore. So for a while, I actually flowed intakes solely by themselves, just to see. So I built the fixture to put on the flow bench, and I kept a record. It probably for like 2 straight years. But the problem was, I was starting to see some trends, and I thought, oh, this doesn't make any sense. And what I was seeing was, like, you could have an intake manifold that flowed really good on the flow bench by itself. And you would have one that didn't flow as good, it would make more power. Then the same thing when I was like, well, that's because it's not attached to the head. Same situation. You could bolt it to a head, and it would flow more attached to the head than this other manifold, but the manifold that didn't flow as well made more power. And the reason why is because of this flow bench is it likes nice big fat radiuses. That. Down to 15 people. I think the feed's unstuck. I don't know where I lost you, which sucks because I didn't get any questions. I was going to bring up this head. I never know. What happened was I'm out in the shop and somehow it gets Wi-Fi and I forgot to turn that off. So now I've got 15 watching. This really sucks. Here's what got me fired up last week, since there's only 15 people watching. I had this head taped up because I don't want to deal with people getting pissed off, and really it's the fanboys. The absolute fanboys. So this is the stuff you never see. They don't get talked about that much, but I have a head here. This is the one I brought up. Remember when I did that trick flow head video? And I talked about the CNC finish, and I showed one that had a bigger step. That's this head, which I won't name. So here we are, head. This is what got me so fired up, because people love this company. I mean, these guys advertise big time. Big time. All over Facebook, they're big. Excellence through engineering. Like, they're an engineer, right? Like, this is the stuff. And I'm not mad so mad at them because it's not like they're coming into my stuff or nothing like that. But I get so tired of the fanboys saying how superior they are. Well, here, riddle me this. There we go. I want you to see the exhaust port. I'm watching it here. You see this? This is the divider between the two exhaust ports right here. See that? This is one of the things where I'm like, you engineered it that way? You do know that's like 130 thou right there between the two. And if I take a pipe, an exhaust pipe, just because remember there's two headers, tubes will come off this. The exhaust pipe, this one, is 60 thou. So it's 60 thou on this thickness of this. And this is just some cheap one I bought at, I don't know where. But there are headers that are thicker than this, because this was made to be easy to use just for flow testing, cheap stuff. So there's ones that are thicker that are like 70,000. If that's 130 thou, and you've got pipe that's 70, 70 plus 70 is 140. We do know, because I'm not an idiot, that you can't put two pipes right next to each other and weld them up that way. Because you'd have another one literally right there. It ain't going to happen. And I know some of you are thinking, well, this first part's in the flange. Okay. Well, engineered person, sounds great. So you're going to gasket match your header flange to this 130 thou, and then it's going to neck down so that your header tube goes through. And this is well engineered. And these guys are like, these are guys that are superior. They make the best stuff. Have you seen their new 23-degree head? This is not Chad's, by the way. I don't think Chad does this. I haven't seen his exhaust ports or paid enough attention to it to see that. Although some people still do this one. Oh, sorry. There we go. You got the. Oh, I gotta fix this again. This live feed has been horrible for you guys. I'm sorry. There we go. Some people have a very thin right through here. I'll just do a low one. I don't know which one. Yeah, very thin right through here at the divider on the small block Chevy. Like, I make it only as thick as the gasket. Why would I do such a thing? I don't know, because practical engineering, I guess. You see, when you have it like this, this isn't so bad. This is, you could do this, but some of them are like so thin. No names. This one isn't that bad, so this part's good. But think about it. There's more material here between the two on the intake ports than there are on the exhaust port. And the only thing this has to deal with is the intake manifold that you can actually port to make thinner. However, I don't like a razor thin one right through here, because then you can port match the intake. You're still going to have to trim the living crap out of the gasket to get it to seal, to get it to be that thin so it doesn't block. Otherwise, you still have a restriction. Because you could port the intake the same. The gasket's still going to be trimmed. It seems like more of a pain in the rear for people. So I don't really make them this thin. Like sometimes, like this isn't too bad, but I know some are super, super thin. This is just ridiculous. This is like, I don't flow with an exhaust pipe on the flow bench, which I am that guy, but this screams like I'm just trying to flow. Here's the thing, they still sucked. It only went 220. So, to give you an idea, it's right here. There we go. Same casting, because they claim they're not, but it's the same. This is my exhaust port. You see how we can get, this is the gasket thickness. This, I don't know whose gasket you're sealing up. See the difference? It's a huge difference. You want to guess which one flows more? By a bunch. Like 20 CFM, it's mine. It's mine. Yeah. Just saying. It's not all about flow. But that one's going to run right into a header every time. So if you float it with an exhaust pipe, this dude, it's worse. It's worse. Do they blend the seats? Nope. And I thought about this because this guy sitting in because he's like, the guy that did this was like, hey, these guys have the best one. I'm so proud. Have you ever seen this? It's supposed to be the best 23-degree stuff they get. So awesome. I'm like, I don't know. And their flow numbers that they claim, they are down a little bit from what they claim, but not like a significant amount, not like less than 10. But I was like, how did you get that from that? Oh, you bought into their name. Oh, got it. Didn't blend. They don't blend the seats. And if they had blended the seats, it'd probably flow exactly what they claim. Because you have a sharp edge here, that's why it's 220 instead of what it should be like 230 or whatever. The intake's the same way. And they're finished on their chambers. Yeah, anyway, it's not a bad head. I'm just saying, if the fanboys wouldn't keep bringing these guys up about how awesome they are, maybe people stop believing bullshit. Anyway, I think we got people back now, so I can actually go on. T-Chaps, how did your buddy's Dyno session go? It sucked. So, what had happened, you see, we literally spent half the day trying to get it to start. You can knock a carburetor all you want, but you know what it does? It starts up. Blow through carburetor, we'd have been running a half the day. And then once we got it started, keeping it running. Yeah. And then, still wanted to surge and do stupid stuff. Probably the loudest turbo motor I've ever heard. So I think it's got some nuts, but anyway, then his transmission burned up. We never got to make one pull. So it sucked. Are these the heads that have been on Facebook lately where the Headbolt bosses broke through the head? They do break through. That's not a, that breakthrough on the Headbolt hole, that's actually not a big deal. The Cam Challenge, that's my first version of the 255X. I left that open because I was like, everybody sells it that way. This cat does, and he's engineered through excellence or whatever. Several other companies do the same, like, we ain't plugging it. So I left it open. But when I had it redone, I had the CNC guys like, can you just draw in your drawing and just put like a, you could put a, this is probably nerd stuff for you guys, but you could put a column in places. So you could say, put a column in here and the machine will intentionally avoid that area. So that's how he created the Headbolt hole sleeve there. So in theory, because it's one of the things we're going to try testing with the R&D heads, but no one bought the other one, was that head, the engine that's on the dyno on Thursday, that one has the Headbolt captured, so it's solid. But we were going to test having it open. So I was going to have another version, another head with it, like this one's, open to the other matching pair and dyno it that way. But no one ever bought that other one, so I'm not going to probably ever get to do that. So, anyway. But that could be that head. I just know that they're really big, and it's not like the only head they've seen. And the only problem I hate about this is because someone could easily do this with my head, I guess. Like you can nitpick everything, but I guess if I bragged on it, like if you saw me spend thousands of dollars on Facebook ads about how great our stuff is and how we have the best of this and this and this, and I cherry picked some customers, and then someone else got it and you're like, it's good, just not amazing. You feel the same. So, but that, yeah, whatever. Yeah, no header will fit that. Exactly. Not my problem though. The only thing I have to do with these, he said, can you install it with the PAC 1225 spring? Yeah, I set up heads all the time. I haven't checked to see if the valves that they were sold with these heads, if they have enough installed height to do that, because that is a problem. This particular head is the dart imitation head. It spring pads up taller, so if you do not have a long enough valve, you can't get enough installed height. It takes like, just to give you an idea, so like the Dragon Slayers, it takes a 5/10 long valve. These, to do the same, to get a PAC 1225 spring in. To do these, you need a 5/160 long, which is a pretty long valve. It also makes it heavier, by the way, not so great for RPM. Let's see. My feed had dropped off. I'm back. Thank God, Hot Rod Ray. Viewers whose head is that? Viewers, do not tell them. They should figure that out on their own. I don't want to deal with the. I really don't want to deal with the fan base because I don't have time for drama anymore. Hey Eric, love your content. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Joel Lunchbox, I feel your pain. The last episode of hit close to home. Thank you for the data. Thank you for your honesty. Yep. I'll be grinding a lot this week. That's all I'm going to do is grind. I ain't putting together heads and I ain't doing a thing. Well, I got to put together one set of heads. I'll get that done. That's the easy one. But I'm grinding intakes all week. And then I'll assemble heads actually that go with the intake. So I guess I am doing heads. Just not valve job and milling, no. That's next week's stuff. I'm hearing Temu has good deals on ported heads, LOL. Sounds like a plan. Darrell, what's up, Eric? Just living my dreams. What's the maximum amount you have seen milled off an 821? Not worries about inlet alignment as it'll mill that also. I'm reading these, so it's some of you guys is whatever. Most I've ever seen is 60 thou, and I've done that. Not for me, for a customer. Now it's getting into the top cut of the seat. Do I recommend that? No. I don't know how. He just said do it. I told him, I was like, that's 60 thousandths less of piston valve. Okay. All right then. So that's what we did. Do I recommend that? Nope. But, you can do it. Most problem thing with that is 821 heads, people use, sometimes people use it for boosted stuff, and the decks aren't thick enough. They're thick, but the aluminum's more flexible than the aftermarket stuff. So you're like 20 pounds of boost, it feels like you want to flex anyway. So take it off at under 60 even makes it sound like, woo. Not the best idea. Makes the most horsepower in flow bench according to Facebook, LOL. Maybe. That's what I hear, I could sell more heads, not that I'd have time to work on more heads, if I just bragged on myself all the time. I just need to do that. And then I'd be a god. Tim Horn, what about the end of the bolt sticking through 1/4 inch the intake ports? What are you referring to, Tim? Are you talking about the rocker arm stud? Because of that, that's a weird one. On some heads, on the small block shed we were talking about, if you have the rocker arm stud sticking down deeper, some heads it actually helps flow. Not all hurts. Sometimes it helps. Looks weird though. You would think, this is one of the things about the flow bench. Your eyes think one thing, that flow bench says a different one. And so like that one, they'd be the same, that would show up the same on the dyno, I promise. Okay. Been using race engine technology pop up on Facebook lately. That guy has a chip on his shoulder, haha. If you were in the LT world, go visit, and I'm not knocking this guy, but that dude's got a chip on his shoulder. Prey Performance. That's an LT thing. He makes some invisible world records, but whatever. But he's right though. I don't do enough LT stuff. There's one right here. Don't mess with it. I ain't had time. Love your videos. What's your favorite head for a small 427 max effort street? My heads, the Dragon Slayers, of course. And by the way, I love my Dragon Slayers. I'm sure something else beats them. Probably many things, but I think they're pretty good, and I'm very happy with them, and I know they perform well. Hopefully, we'll see over 700 of the one on Thursday. Maybe it won't, though. Maybe it won't. The only thing I'm trying to learn is which one of the versions perform best, and also why. What makes one better than the other. Let's see. Prayed for you yesterday. Hope everything gets better for your app. For you. Appreciate all your share and keep up the head, bro. Thanks, man. I try not to pray for myself. I pray for everybody else every night. That's the truth. If you used a remote mic or a lapel mic, the audio would be much better and not echoing. I'm sorry for that. I actually have that, but the problem is on this iPhone, just so you know, so I appreciate your comment. I respect that. When I have a lapel mic on, which plugs into the phone, it drains the battery of the phone. So then the live feed ends up being really, really short because the phone dies. Especially when at the end of the day, because it's been on all day as I use it. Oh, someone asked a great question. Oh man, yeah, the next one. Did you ever get your AirPod from under your cabinet? That still bothers me. Oh my God, you're never gonna believe this. Bishop got it. So he grabbed one of my finger things that I couldn't get. I don't know how he did it. He's like, I can get it, Dad. I was like, sure, whatever, Sonny. I tried for literally 2 freaking hours. Got it in less than 5 minutes. Put it in the charging case and it worked. And I was like, yes, 2 sets of AirPods. 1 week later. And it still bothers me because I still can't get to that motherfucker. AirPod number 3, my 3rd set. I went to the gym and worked out. I sometimes wear shorts. For shorts, they will fall, the AirPod will fall out. The little charging thing will fall out of my pants or my shorts. It'll roll out of the pocket. So I got done with the workout and it fell out. And it dropped the 2 earbuds whenever it did that. And I didn't know that it had done that. But anyway, I took my charger, stopped thinking both were in there, went inside. I opened it up and one's missing. Like, where's that at? Use the Find My app. And it says it's in the truck. So I'm searching the truck, can't find it, can't find it, can't find it, can't find it, can't find it. For a solid hour. This is a Dodge Ram, a 21 Ram. You've got your cup holder that folds up so you can have a 3rd seat inside, right? That son of a gun fell in between and underneath this other part. Carrie, who has smaller hands than me, could not get it. She could touch it with her fingers. Could not get it. There's a plastic part that's there. I even have a little drawer underneath that I thought, there's a drawer underneath the thing. Remove that. I'm going to see if I can reach in it. Nope. Cannot get to it. Somehow that one has miraculously gone to a place that no one could get to. So, not one. This is the 2nd time. Luckily, I'm using the one that Bishop found now, so that's still there. Love your channel. Keep up grinding rock forward. Gotcha. You got to get mic'd up for the sound, man. I can't do it. Is it still echoey? Because I moved it closer and the people said it was fine. Your time is valuable, and I guarantee you are losing viewers by the second because of the sound is in and out. I'm in the 200 Club member, by the way. I wonder if it's this. I have an idea what it is. It's probably my watch. Another iPhone mistake. Sorry about that. I can't do anything with the audio, like I said, with the lapel mic. So all 80 of you that are still watching, congratulations. Last time I never had it on, by the way, and somehow it worked. Tim Hugh, oh, sorry. Big Mike's Garage. I have a set of the newer style Dart SHP 200cc heads that came out a couple years ago. Are they Steven Sons castings? Would it be worth them to open it up to 205 or 208 intake valve for a 400 small block Chevy? If they were about that time, they could be. Doesn't mean they are. Dart has since stopped dealing with those because Dart. I had a conversation with the production manager at Dart. They stopped doing the Steven Son ones. So the time you had them, they were. They no longer are. Luke Sears, in relation to maximum milling of the 832s, I'm building a budget engine. Purchase some cheap JE flat top pistons 5cc relief. I have no idea if those will clear. I've been watching your content for quite a while. I learned a lot. Just appreciate everything you do and take the time to explain everything. Thank you. Glad I could bring the trauma back up. The gap between the seats is a crevice of despair. It is. It's so annoying. God, I wish I could get that. And the worst part is like you can just touch it, but you can't get it. And you're like, well, just strip something down there. No. It wasn't like we didn't try for 2 hours. Talk about a waste of time. Evan Millie, the audio is fine. Thank God. How are those long tube headers working for the S10? I love them. So I've got the Lemons ones. They make a lot of power. I don't have any problems with that. Luckily, when Bishop had his little wreck with the S10, it didn't take up the headers. I was really worried about that. But no, I didn't mess that up. Any opinion on why IMC has hell-bent on keeping cast iron head rules? There's almost no foundries left to cast them. One of my thoughts, I think it's like old school people, like they just don't want to change. And I get that because I'm like, why do you keep doing the small block shit, man? But I also think they're afraid of what will happen. Because a lot of you like would just switch. They probably should just switch to the Brodix IK 180 heads. A lot of companies, a lot of racing classes have allowed those in place of the IMC heads. Just understand it's so easy to cheat aluminum heads. It's much more difficult to cheat cast iron heads. I'm still running Brodix Dash 8s from 1980. You poor thing. Go fast, slam on brakes, earbud pops out. Yep. Hot Rod Ray, I tell my boys. I'm sorry about the audio though. I know it probably drives some of you nuts. I just don't plug in the road. That's what it is. That's why I use them sometimes when I'm recording, most of the time when I'm recording videos. But literally, it drains the phone so fast with it. Even with it's fully charged, it still sucks my phone dry, and then I have no phone. And right now, it's probably cruising about 20% if it wasn't plugged in. So I have to have it plugged in or this would not work. So, anyway. I tell my boys, you do the best you can with what you have to work with at the time. If you had FUBARs, you did the best. Sound is fine with cheap Amazon earbuds. That works out great. You know what I've been doing, and I haven't been saying it? I told my wife, I feel like I'm almost cheating. I've been having conversations with Alexa Plus because I ask it intriguing questions because she has more knowledge than me and I'm curious. And then I asked her why she doesn't ask me questions. Wouldn't she want to learn about me? That was interesting. I only bring that up because I got a little, someone brought up Amazon, but also no one was writing. I was curious about the Brodix 10X RI 244cc's on your website. I was looking at flow numbers and it looks like great cleared to AFR 245s and track 1 245s. No, my Brodix raised runner heads flow way more than both those. The bad news, you can get 0 of those. Rodix stopped making them. I only leave them on there because I'm like, maybe they'll change their mind. Rodix said they could cast me ones, but it might be a year before I'd ever get them. A year. But no, it's not even close. It's not even remote. Those ones would destroy the 245s, and track one 245s even worse. Would one of the grabbers get the earbuds? No. No. Don't think we didn't try. We almost have to take off the center console to get, because it's actually underneath. It had gone far enough where it dropped between the two seat cushions, and then underneath where the metal is, that you cannot get to. There's a piece of plastic that prevents your fingers from going all the way around to touch it. So you can only touch the plastic, and the plastic is the back part of a tray from something else. Isn't your lost mic magnetic? Maybe, but there's not enough. Like, you gotta physically grab it because the space that it squeezed through, which again I don't know how it happened. It's tough. Like, even if you could touch it, you gotta actually pull to get it out. I don't know how it got in there. Isn't your sorry? Try the standard Raycon earbuds. You'll like them. Never fall out, and they're noise canceling. Work good for grinding. I use the Apple ones all the time for grinding. So the book I'm listening to now is Lonesome Dove, because someone at the barbershop recommended it. But that's what I listen to books all the time when I'm grinding. All the time. I am well read. If you put something sticky on the end of your finger, it's the same thing. You still have to grab it to be able to pull it through. Unless, like, literally, it's too tight. Again, I don't know how it got back there. Any plans for blimp blocks you have? At this time, no. I was going to take that one up to, my brain escapes the name, the big engine builder in Wichita, Kansas, that does fog it, and stint it, that's it. To test it there, just to try that, but I haven't. Have you ever used a camera to check intake port alignment after install? No. Usually I can look down the ports and I can see, because you can always see the two opposite ends. So usually you can see those to see if it is on a single plane. On a dual plane, guess it is. Because on a dual plane, what do you care anyway? Let's be honest. Have you ate anyone you know experimentation over sized exhaust valves on nitrous engine? Have you or anyone you know experimented with the oversized exhaust valve on nitrous engine? I think that's what you were trying to ask. No. I always try to get the biggest intake valve in there anyway. Typically. My Dragon Slayers I can run, especially the 255X, I can run a bigger intake valve, I just choose not to. Seems like it works. I do have special custom valves made to try that on one of them, but I haven't yet. It's a bigger intake and exhaust valve. But without testing it, it's just a guess. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else you'd want to know. You can ask your questions. Feel free to, and I'll do my best to answer them. Love your channel. Learned a lot about aluminum cylinder heads for small block Chevy. How do you feel about the YN Team G intake on a small block Chevy street steel build? That's what I feel about it. We tested that on the 406 and it sucked balls. It was not good at all. So, anyway. Well, I'll give you about 5 more minutes to ask questions and I think I'll call it. I think this was fairly unsuccessful live feed. About what you'd expect from me, I would say. Do you think the Trick Flow 215s will perform better than the Project X 215s on your 3D3? Yeah, without question. It's not even close. Not even close. By the way, people keep asking me about those heads. I have gotten some emails on those. There's a part number I should have showed, But I tried looking it up on Summit. Summit doesn't even have it listed either, even the part number that I have. The head is, because they sent me this thing with it to know how much it is. I think it's $28.65 for a pair of them. But that's hydraulic roller spring. They do offer a solid roller spring version. I also have no idea if they're even available, like how many they actually have. I feel like, and I'm glad TrickFlow's been helping me, but every time I do want to test in one of their heads, it seems like they sell a ton of them, and I can't get them anymore. Because that's what happened with the TrickFlow 280. We just randomly tested that. That's with Nick. And the thing did outstanding. We just happened to be at Bill's. And now, like, they have them for like a couple weeks, and they're out for 3 months. And then I'll get 15 people who will email me, do you have any TrickFlow 280s? I'm like, no, they're backward until June. And it's usually the people like right now, they're trying to make a race next week or this month. Like, you should have planned better. They're no. Bill's head intake combo made really good power. It did. Maybe I should have talked about that. I was really hoping for more. I don't know. There's something that's holding it back. It's probably something on my end. But the intake manifold was a 2892. But I didn't make the plenum big like I did the other one for Bob's. It was more of an experiment. And actually, and I didn't even mention this, the port match I actually left small because I wanted to experiment with that. So I made it the same height, but the floor was like 100 thou step. So it's shorter than the head on the floor. And the width was also a little bit shorter on the non-common wall side. Just trying to see what that would do. And it made, with the spacer, it made less power than the BMP fully ported. But without the spacer, it made more. It was the winner without the spacer. So I guess it worked out better in the end. Because I also don't think, it's still shorter, that 2892 is shorter than the BMP is with the 2-inch spacer. So that may work better for Bill. Because you know Bill don't run that much cowl. Can I hit the earbud with the blower to get it out? No, again, all it will do is rattle around there. It's literally shoved between like a little crevice, like tight, like my fingers, like getting them in on bench pressing to get in there. That's why I don't know how it got in there. So even if you could, it wasn't like it'll just blow out. You literally have to be able to grab and then really pull. So if I could get some kind of, if I could get a camera down there, maybe I could make a little lasso for it. Then I can pull it out, but it's got to be pulled. Watch Bob's video earlier on Bill's 434. It sounds like rude and aggressive. It is amazing. You a fan of single point CNC cutters? The biggest advantage for having, because that's that head I showed you, they've got that $100,000 CNC single point machine to cut valve jobs. The biggest advantage is you can create your own seat profilers way quicker. So you can do an infinite number without having its own individual seat cutter blade made, which is a huge thing. So that part for me for experimentation would be fantastic. But I also don't know how wide you can make that top cut with that machine. Like I think there might be a limitation. However, if you think it cuts straighter valve jobs, that's marketing bullshit. Because there's been companies that I've gotten heads from that had a single point cutter cut their valve jobs. They look beautiful, didn't seal for nothing. So that I think they're great, but if you think that they're superior to these single point cutters as far as valve job roundness, that's false. That's false. They do give you, they also take longer, by the way. They take longer to cut a seat than you would with this single blade cutter. But the biggest, like I said, the biggest advantage, you can just come up with as many seat profiles you want. For heads you develop, do you start with an intake port size in mind first, or what's your starting point? If it's not that. Usually I start with the valve So I say, what's the largest valve I can fit in this bore? And then I think, okay, how close is that valve now to the cylinder wall? Okay. And then from that, I can determine, well, okay, how close is the exhaust valve to the intake valve? Okay. Once I get that, then I know this is about the biggest intake valve I can get in there. This is how much shrouded it is to the wall. And from that point, so once you get the valve size, then you make the rest of the port accordingly. So some people use a whole lot of math, but really that's only good for the push rod pinch, in my opinion. Because from that point, then I'll do the bowl. And that bowl percent will be varied depending on application and also the head itself. So I might be as low as 95% and as high as 106%. It really depends. And then we look at your throat. There is no percent I use anymore from that. It's a minus thing. So I'll just say on a 50-degree valve job, I do 0.170 minus whatever the valve is. So on a 2125 valve, that throat should be 1.955. So that's that. The short side area, usually I'm trying to make it the same area as the valve itself. Sometimes bigger, depends on their application. And then the push rod pinch, typically I target, like if you could, about 90 to 98% of the valve. If it's smaller, then that kind of sucks, but sometimes you have to. That's where you're at. You can adjust your speeds with that push rod pinch as well. So, however, in most of the LS heads, you can ignore literally almost everything beyond just the bowl and throat because all the rest is too big. So whatever thought you had for that is out the window. Trip flow 215 versus 230 seems so similar. It seems like they both feel the same need, basically. Not sure they did when the 230 versions, it's already hard to get. Not available at times. I don't think so, because the 230 is really meant for bigger cubic inches. 215, you go down to 383. 230, I don't know that you'd ever run that on it. I mean, you could, but why would you run it on a 383? I think it'd be worth a test to put solid roller lifters in it to test. On what? What are you wanting to see the solid lifters on? Because the small lot cam challenge will have solid lifters, even though it's hydraulic cams. I guess when you test a good set of heads, you should order a bunch before you put the video up. Maybe, but then the other times it's like, I don't want to keep inventory here, like a ton of it. So for instance, the Dragon Slayers I really can't keep up with. Although in all fairness, someone's ordered some in, well, someone ordered this week. Before that, it had been more than a month. So I'm going to have 5 on the shelf, and maybe I'll get 1 sold. So I did have 1 sell this week. Before that, it had been more than a month when I sold any of the Dragon Slayers. But it had been probably 4 sets of those dark imitations. So I don't like keeping inventory. And here's the other thing. This is the biggest thing. This is probably the bigger reason. This head that one company had is probably the same one that they had from the time they developed, probably 5 years ago. All my heads, like, they change yearly, if not every 6 months. Because I'm like, I want to try something different. Like right now, the Dragon Slayers are getting a new chamber developed. That one's being digitized now. So it's like, you might get the best right now, but in 6 months, it might be something better. So why would I keep the ones that weren't as good? Or maybe they will be, and we'll find out. Hey, hello, Eric. Still planning for low lift flow versus LS rectangular port versus down test? Yes. I gotta finish put that intake and put the heads together. And then I can go to Dunsworth, put those heads on, start doing that test. Have you changed the rocker lifters on the 383 yet? I remember you said the ratios were off. What's your thoughts on the gains from bigger ratio lifters? You're talking about rocker arms, not lifters. Bigger ratio rocker arms. However, I haven't changed them yet. to see what the difference would be. Good day from Australia. Good day to see you too. I was referring to Bill's 434. No, Bill's might have actually, I don't know. My gut says he probably would have picked up, he put saw lifters on it, but he won't do it anyway because he had a saw lifter engine before and it hurt a lifter, although not that bad. I was there, I saw that. The lifter wasn't that bad. I mean, it was bad, but not like eating into the camera or anything like that. So he drives his car everywhere. So he wants something for that. But power-wise, probably. But for what he uses it for, probably a bad idea. Unless it was to get the BAM DLC coated lifters, then yeah, it wouldn't be a problem. What's your belief on polishing combustion chambers and piston crowns? I really don't get into that. I don't polish them. It doesn't seem like it makes a difference. The carbon will stick anyway. And if you're worried about detonation, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard whenever people talk about sharp edges on aluminum causing detonation, come on. Your aluminum, like I know the melting point of aluminum, like an idea anyway. I know the melting point of aluminum is not, I don't think it's hot enough to flash gasoline fire. It won't do that. Now, hot steel, like the glowing steel in that spark plug, you betcha. And which one do you think gets hotter in the chamber? The electrode on the spark plug or the aluminum that dissipates heat? It's around water. So I hate that, the idea like you gotta polish it, to help that stuff or reflect the heat back. The carbon builds up the whole thing and ain't reflecting anything back. I prefer solids in all my motors, even on street. I don't mind adjusting my valves a few thousand miles. I grew up doing it in my 67 Cuda and Cornet. If you're right, you don't ever have to really change it. Like I haven't adjusted the one in the S10 for a while. The 355, that one probably shocked me the most because that cam was way radical. It does not belong on the street. Put 500 miles on it and never adjusted the lash. That still shocks me. That's just a Morel 842 needle bearing. Don't gotta adjust the valves too much when you have real good geometry. That's true too. More charger content, please. While I was underneath it today changing O2 sensors, or actually what happened was, changed the O2 sensors yesterday. The driver's side one still will not read. I've got HP tuners, still will not read. So I thought by accident, because the cats have been removed, I thought maybe he accidentally plugged it into the wrong one, like the upstream versus downstream. So I redid that, same thing. Probably the most thing that drove me nuts today was I went to start the charger and it wouldn't start and just kept cranking over and over and over and over and did not start. I was like, what? And the only thing I did yesterday was just change the O2s and drove it and everything was fine. So I stopped for a second, pressed it again, fires right off. So I don't know if it's a fuel pressure, what it's got, like it's bleeding off fuel pressure or something at night. I don't know, but I drove it much more today. I just haven't, that was weird and not pleasant. Okay, we are 9:15. 5 more minutes, 9:20 I'm calling it. Because I've only got 80 people watching anyway. You guys must have no lives. So I get it. Besides, maybe tonight I will go to bed before 2. So, I'm not working anymore in the shop tonight. I'll get up tomorrow morning. I'm going to finish this intake manifold for Jeff Goodrich so I can finish his heads. All his heads need to be is washed and assembled. I think I've already flowed them. I might have to float them. But get that done. And then I will do Chris Arnett's intake manifold, port it, flow his heads, assemble his heads. Then I'm going to do probably valve job on Jake Lillard's heads just because I got to port those. Those are big block Chevy head. But while that's going on, I'm probably going to port Judith Creek's 2970 manifold. If I get really ambitious, I could try to get done with the 2925 manifold for Larry Lee because his heads are done. Those are completely done. What's a good street strip single plane intake for a 355 with about 450 that you would recommend? I wouldn't put a single plane on there unless you're wanting to race. If you're wanting to race, it's Victor Jr. That's the one you should run. I always mirror polish my chambers and piston tops, LL. My entire inside of my block is polished. I used to do that when I was like 17. I would polish the entire lifter valley. Like it was smooth, and it took forever. Probably the most pointless thing. Better oil drain back. Like that was a problem anyway. My dad had been building a 396 and found out today that we had the valves a shade too tight. I was wondering why he had no compression for a bit. We're also trying to get the AFR on a 4910 to fit in a 67 Camaro SS hood. I think I don't think a 49. I think it's a 4911 is a shorter one. Don't quote me that. One of the two, AFR makes a short one that's the same height as the Victor Jr. That I have done a test. We tested that at Bob's, fully ported, obviously. That actually did really, really well. So that's a good intake manifold. I mean, it was down from the others, but considering how short it was, it's not that bad. Ask your question. Time's a ticking. I kept hoping all week my wife would say, let's go out to eat at IHOP because I wanted the pancakes. This diet thing, I'm just trying to eat less is making it hard. I could say this, I can eat less now and feel full than I did like a week ago. But don't think I don't crave sugar literally every day. Every day. Like crack. Get your questions in, all 83 of you who turned to back in. I filled out a bracket for the basketball, and that sucked. Why are you diehard small block Chevy guy versus LS? I prefer the Hemi, if you're being honest. I like that thing. Here's why, because I hate the LS fan base. They always are like, if you got a small block Chevy, oh, why don't you put an LS in it? It's much like the Ford guys like when they're like, why don't you put a LS in it? Same thing. The LS is not superior, that's why. It's a great engine. We do the same things as small block Chevy, you're gonna make the same power. I don't want to hear Brian Tooley, Okay, I'll put a set of 13-degree heads on the small block Chevy. I don't care that it didn't come in the factory that way. Neither did the 11-degree heads, the Mass, Promax, and all those came from that. They weren't on the factory that way. And you can run a factory head. Why do I do that? It's like someone showing up with a full-size truck to a race and being like, why is it? I would be faster if I weighed less. Well, what if you just made a car weigh less? Because it's a 13-degree head for a small block Chevy and I run it on there and I make a bunch, it's not, it makes the same power as the LS. It's a dumb argument. That's why I hate it. LS isn't superior. When we do the same thing with small block Chevy, guess what? They make the same power. So that's my biggest complaint. You're like, well, the stock LS head. Well, great. Stock LS heads. Yeah, gotcha. Good. But look at all the LS testing that's even been done. This is the reason why I like that 406 we get rid of Dyno. Small block Chevy, 23-year head. I'm like, I hope it makes 700 because the LS didn't make 700. All these nut swingers from the LS fanboys, that's a 408 cubic inch LS. There were 6 sets of heads, not a single one broke 700 horsepower. When we tested the 23 different cams, they still didn't break 700 horsepower. It wasn't until the AFR heads that were milled, by the way, to get the compression ratio up to about 12 to 1, did it finally break 700 horsepower. LS fanboys do not understand that. Do not. They're like, no, and then you guys, so that's what, it's the fan base. I'm realistic. I like the LS engine. Basically, it's going to get an SS. We're going to build an awesome LS for it. We're probably going to use my 408. Love it, but I don't like your fan base. So I don't even like sometimes my fan base, the small block Chevy ones. But I really like the Hemi guys. You know why? Because their fan base is really small, and they just enjoy anything you do, and they don't complain about everything. So like the 440 and 383 Mopar guys, their fan base is really small, but they complain about everything. Good evening. Catch you next live. I don't know when I'll do a live again. Probably like in 6 months. A lot of people like to ice skate uphill with an LS. Sometimes. Hi, Mr. Thank you for answering my question last week. You're welcome, Bobby Williams. LS engines have no soul. That's the thing. It's like they're fine. I really like the LS engine's fine. Like I did 2 CNC programs for these heads, and I really think they're going to make a bunch of power. Truly do. I love it, but they're still fanboys. Like literally, I don't know why it pops up on my Facebook feed. I still will have people like, "What cam?" And I'm not even in these LS groups. What cam should I run in this engine? I got so and so heads and stuff. And I'm like, only, and me just being a smartass, I commented, if only someone had tested some whole bunch of different LS cams on one engine. Huh. It just gets me. How about the LS firing motor small block Chevy cams like Summit sells versus standard firing motor? I don't think it makes any difference at all. I've stayed small block Chevy, no sense in changing now. Agreed. Legacy forever. And the other thing, the myth that they tell you is like, oh, them LSs will last 200,000 miles. They can. You're right. There were, I know it's gonna be hard to believe. There were small block Chevys that did that too. Like, well, I swear it was like in the 1990s or something. There was some Chevy OBS, not even OBS, but some Chevy truck that hit 1 million miles. Legit. That was a small block Chevy. So, okay, got it. Yours can go that way. But I also have this mistaken belief that they're far stronger than the small block Chevys, and they would just last longer. Because if you believe it, it's got to be true. I don't know why they keep blowing up then. Like, take your favorite YouTuber. Let's say Cleus McFarland. How many LS is he blowing up? How many small block Chevys now? He doesn't do anything. Maybe you should think about it, huh? Anyway, so, yeah, there you go. Pick a different YouTuber. Doesn't matter. Just pick one. How many LS have they blown up? And how many small block Chevys have they blown up? Okay. I'm just saying. You tell me. All right, I'm gonna call it quit on that note. I guess I'll leave it with this. If you're a channel member, I have to redo this group text. There's a chance you will not get my group text because something's going on with the phone anyway. But I'm going to try group texting whenever I do the dyno section on Thursday with the small block Chevy. The only really thing, and this is the 406, hopefully everything goes smooth. The only thing that will be tested is just the, maybe we'll switch intakes and carburetors. That's it. So I've got a 1050 carburetor and a 1350, both dominators. We're going to test on that. And then probably some spacers. I think the Beetle War guy sent me one. Karsten Kafer would test. I think. Yeah, he did. He had that one that we used from the Ford. So I'll probably use that. But I'm probably going to switch to the Ironhide manifold. If that 2892 that's fully ported I did for Victor Brown shows up, I'll probably test that. If not, it'll just be the 2 manifolds. So if all the testing, not that much. Just break in and kind of running it type of deal. I will be picking up the manifold for Herb Weiss because that's on the 408 small block Ford dyno mill there. If I could find, it probably ain't gonna happen, but if I could find time, nope, I can already tell you it won't happen. I was gonna say I'm gonna switch heads on that 3-3, but I got a problem. I bet you the push rod length's different. But we'll have to try to get that done too. Because then I could, if the 406 got done, then maybe 3-3. So if you're a channel member, you get to see about that. If you're not a channel member, you should sign up. It costs $150 for a year. It's a great thing. Then you can ask tech questions without being charged. And I say your phone number, so I actually answer your call every time, unless I'm doing something. What I mean by doing something like taking a poop. But anyway, that's about it. Look for that. Thanks for the 72 people that made it to the end. You guys take care.